Today we're talking about tabbed browsing in ACDSee. So this is like a brand new function that we've added to 2025, and it's frankly really really useful. And it's one of those things that's kind of a hidden in the background. We've talked a lot about the changes in the new product. You've seen, just out of curiosity, how many people? This is maybe a two-pronged question. How many people are using the new software right now, ACDSee 2025, either Home, Pro, or Ultimate? I just want to get a gauge of how many people have it. Not yet. Yes, yes, nice. Yes, some yeses, nice, some nos. Still 2024. Okay, so for some of you, this is going to be a description of the features. For some of you, it looks like this will be a sort of like a, little bit of an introductory thing, introductory workshop into how tab browsing works. But sort of varied. But it looks like we got lots of users, which is great. So I think the combination of this feature and the sort of AI resolution was a huge change to ACDSee. So, we've now improved our management functions to a huge degree with the introduction of tab browsing. And so we'll talk about that today. But the introduction of like AI super resolution or the AI resolution tool is a pretty big deal. Now you can take images that were, historically pretty small resolution images, and you can really enhance those images. And they're actually, it's extremely convincing, the differences between the two. It's a huge deal. These are some cool tools. They're kind of simple tools. They're not like, some of our flashier edit mode or develop mode tools, but they're very, very, very useful. So thank you, Marv, for adding that. Appreciate that. Yes, like I said, we will cover that at the end of the workshop for sure. I'm just going to leave that question in Q&A right now, and then we'll get to it at the end. This isn't going to be a super long workshop today because tab browsing is not overly complicated, but I'll describe everything you can do with it. I'm aiming to probably be a 30 to 45-minute workshop today rather than a full hour and a half like we normally do. Tom Wilson asked, prior version did not work with mobile sync. Does new version work? Mobile sync should work with the prior version or with the version, this version as well. So that sounds to me like there might be a something that I would explore with support, or even ask maybe one of our developers on the Connect page. But yeah, no, mobile sync works. I use mobile sync all the time with ACDSee. Okay, cool. Let's get started. So the backbone of ACDSee as a product is it's a management software. Before we can look to do anything in people mode, before we can add the ability to sort of auto detect faces and label faces, before we have any development features, to the extent that we can update and sort of edit images non-destructively and parametrically in develop mode, before we have the ability to create multi-layer files and essentially composition images or photographic art, we have an editor that is used for sorting and delineating sort of your collection of images. And one of the principal features of manage mode, that has always been the case, is that we have a sort of a section of manage mode, right, that is dedicated to the navigation of your files. This is sort of featured on the left-hand side here. So this is a navigation window predicated on, in the case of the folder structure, it's literally the same folder structure as you see on your hard drive. And then navigation based on metadata, right? And the metadata that we offer are things like, in this case, proprietary metadata. What that means is metadata that's created in ACDSee, things like categories, keywords, ratings, labels, that sort of thing. So, and I guess the other thing too is we have sort of existing metadata on import. So things like calendars when these images are added to your hard drive. So in these three examples, right, we have the ability to navigate to your any folder you have on your hard drive, in addition to metadata that you've added to your files. And so this window represents how we navigate to qualities, right? The folder structure being one quality, the catalog being another quality, meaning that, oh, I want all my images that I really liked. So I gave them a rating of 5, I'll navigate to those images. I want to navigate to all those images that I've given the keyword of, wedding or bride, right? So this is our navigation window. In ACDSee, our like how we assign metadata, how we apply metadata has historically looked like this right-hand section here. And so what that looks like is, hey, I'm navigated to an image. Let's say this, go into our people folder. And let's say this was one photo shoot. I want to take half the images in my photo shoot, and I want to give them a label of this case of red, and I want to rate them 5. These were great images. We really like these images. And then maybe there was a metadata component to this. Maybe we needed to add some keywords to this. So we already have the pre-existing keyword of clothing, but now we have the keyword of person as well. So this is how we would go about adding these values. So more than the folder structure, in the sense that these are the locations of these images on your hard drive. More than this, now we have an ability to categorize these images based on qualities. So things like, in this case, a label or a rating or a series of keywords. So this has value because then when we go to then navigate to these images, we have, our images of a rating of 5 or whatever that come up, and our keywords of, let's see if we look up person here, those images will come up. So we have a means of navigation and we have a means of assignment. One of the things that's really, really important to understand about ACDSee, and for those of you that are familiar with ACDSee, you'll get this right away. But when we are searching for images, right, that have certain qualities that are not the folder structure that they're in, when we're searching for images that have, in this case, let's say a rating or a label of red, right, we're getting an aggregate on our whole hard drive from multiple different folders at once that contain those images, right, that have that quality. So navigation in ACDSee is more than the folder structure that that you're working with. It is also considering multiple different folders and a workflow that typically looks like, as I put specific images, as I import them from my camera onto my hard drive, I place them in the folder and I begin the process of obviously editing those images, but also managing and creating categories and cataloging those images. And so a process of that looks like rating, and a process of that looks like applying labels, and a process of that looks like applying keywords, and all these different things that we're doing in ACDSee to manage our files. And so this is a hugely powerful tool because now I have a system that is mindful of the qualities that I'm adding to these files. And so when I go to navigate to those files, I'm navigating to a file predicated on a value. And that's what I'm doing right now, right? I'm looking at when I searched, in this case, a catalog, right? And the catalog is the label of red. There's the red we're seeing here. We can see that all of the images that come up have that little red underline that appears underneath the thumbnail. Vice versa, when we look at, I think we had clothing was one, all the clothing images we have here. Now, noteworthy is that you can see that some of these images, these clothing images, right? Some of these have the labels of red. Some of them have labels of blue, have labels of purple, that sort of thing, yellow. My point being is that we're drawing from different folders to create this culmination of images, right? It should be a little highlight that appears on the edge of it there. So I'll maybe click more just so you can see. But we're getting an aggregate all over all these different locations on our hard drive with various qualities that we've assigned to them. Sort of beyond the scope of this workshop, but these images with their corresponding metadata are then like we've added that information to a database on our computer. So our database holds this information, this sort of these ratings, these keywords, these labels, that sort of thing. So coming back to the tab browser and how this cares about these qualities. So the tab browser is previously in ACDSee. We had the ability to have a preview or a display of so Tom pointed out, so these look to be duplicated images. They're not duplicated images when we're searching for these qualities. So when I looked for labels of red, or what I'm seeing here is is the one copy of that file, and unless the actual file itself is duplicated, in which case we're going to see multiples in here. But what we're seeing is it's taking all of those different locations on our hard drive and it's culminating into one space. And that one space is based on the quality that we've assigned it. In this case, when we're looking at a label of red, we're looking all over my hard drive for any files that I might have labeled red, and then we're bringing them together into one place. This places this preview here in the center. My point is, and this is extremely powerful, in older versions of ACDSee, we did not have this tabbed browser structure, right? So when I was looking in my folder, I had the ability to navigate to a specific folder, right? And from there, I would enter a folder. Let's say this folder I have on landscapes. Where is it here? And then from there, I would be working with these files, right? I could either then apply categories, labels, ratings, keywords, or I could go in and develop or edit my image. But the point is I'm working from within this space. Because there was only one preview panel, in essence, this space that we see in the center here that represents the sort of display of the qualities that are being searched for. That means that when I was searching for particular images, say like, okay, I want to see all the images that I have a rating of 5, then that previous search within this folder panel that we saw in the landscape folder is essentially replaced by this quality search of 5. So this means that whenever I'm, working in ACDSee, I could only really interact with one sort of broad search at a time. So I would be working, oh, here's all my black and white images, here's all my clothing images. Or alternatively, here are my, images with a label of red or a rating of 3, or I'm looking at, particular qualities like nature photos that are keywords that I've assigned. But this preview window is changed whenever I do a different navigation search. It's updated and I'm seeing the images that are displayed here. So tabbed browser is a tool that we've added in 2025 that allows you to have multiple concurrent navigation searches at the same time. So let's just navigate to the pictures folder first and foremost. So what I should see here is that there's this little gray box that appears above my preview window. And again, actually here, I'll illustrate this better. So when I'm using the term preview window, I'm referring to, let's do this. I'm referring to the the dark gray space that's in the center here. So this is our preview window. Oops, let's do that. So whereas when I was referring to something like the navigation window earlier, that's referring to this space right here. And we'll do this one more time. And then I have a window on the right-hand side here that is used to sort of assign metadata qualities. So I have these 3 windows, but the preview window is the main one that we're describing here. So I opened up these images, and I have done so by sort of opening up a folder. So I have a pictures folder here that's listed at the top. So that is what is being displayed to me in the preview window, but there's also what is labeled here. And that's verifiable. If I hover over it, there's a tooltip that appears. Oops, just disappeared, but there's a tooltip that appears there, which you should see that says where it is on the in my um, in my hard drive. So in this case, it's in the C drive, and my users folder, it's at admin and then pictures. So that tells me where this is. Thanks, Peter. Um, so when I open up another folder, okay, so let's say, or actually, let's go into this landscape folder. So when I go into this landscape folder, this preview window is reflects what I've entered, and it tells me now that I am in my landscape folder, and that is, within this location on my hard drive. So it's one step further into this pictures. It's now in the landscape folder. Vice versa, if I go into the clothing folder, it'll say the same thing. So I have this location on my hard drive that I've opened. It is a folder on my hard drive. Now, when I look at this catalog function, right? Let's say I'm looking at a rating of 5. So this catalog reflects that search. So I have a catalog folder with a rating of 5. So it tells me right there. It also tells me with the tooltip when I hover over it. When I look for a label of red, the catalog is reflected. There it is, label of red. And then finally, let's say look for nature. So it's a nature keyword. It's a catalog search as described here with the keyword of nature. The technology here, the addition, is that I can open up multiple folders or catalogs or searches or even calendar searches at the same time. So here I have my pictures folder and my landscape. If I click on the plus button here, what it's going to do is it's going to add another tabbed browser. It's going to add another tab to my listing here that allows me to navigate to specific locations. So I have one folder search. Let's take this pictures folder, navigate to the catalog, and let's just search for a particular keyword. So let's go nature, for example. So now what I have is I no longer have to navigate back to the folder, the catalog window every single time that I want to sort of re-navigate to a previous space. What I have is a space that holds that information. So I can work concurrently in two different locations or two different searches at the same time. So the catalog window here, again, it's the keyword of nature, and the landscape folder we have here, well, that's the very landscape folder I mentioned earlier. So this ability to add multiple, existing tabs at the same time gives me the ability to flip between these. Let's make a note. Let's make a note by going into let's go into a label of blue. So now I have one folder. This folder represents a landscape folder in this case. I have a catalog search with the keyword of nature, and then I have a catalog with the label of blue. So one of the things you'll notice, and this is again really valuable about these folders and this tabbed browsing structure, is that it's actually going to remember the settings on the left-hand navigation window here. So if I navigate, let's just try to navigate to the bottom here on the landscape panel, in where it says catalog here, you're going to see that one of the things that I'm seeing here are like the keywords, right? Keyword associations. If I go to the catalog panel, I'm already searching in keywords, so it's looking at nature right now. And then if I go to the catalog panel, it's looking at blue here. So if I go back to this landscape folder, it's going to remember that I'm kind of roughly at the bottom of this keyword search. Vice versa, if I go to folders here and I navigate, I don't know, let's say down to the bottom of the folders here, if I tab away, tab back, it's going to remember that I'm in the folder structure here. Catalog window, it's going to move to that location. So it's both of these cases, I am in a folder structure here. And then it's also sort of remembering the space of where I am in this navigation window as well. The other thing too is that there's certain other things that this window remembers. So when I have the landscape folder here, or the catalog window with the keyword of nature, or the catalog window with the, let's see here, what is it? The label of blue. Let's also open up another one. Let's open up a search tab. So this is a blank right now. It's just depicting my default location with the pictures folder. I'm going to do a search for people in particular, and then the search results pop up there. So this is every every image in my on my hard drive that can be said to have a search quality of people. So that could be a literally where it's located in a folder, the title of the file, the keyword, or some association in the image. But these all have people in them. Sorry. The other thing that this tool remembers is it remembers certain view methods. So if I was to change the view method to a film strip mode, and navigate back to my catalog window, you can see that my film strip mode is remembered for this particular search. But in my old catalog window here, it's the same as it was before. It's this thumbnail view. Vice versa, the thumbnail view is visible here and also visible here. So particular view modes are remembered within this window as well, these tabbed browsers. The tabs. The other thing it's going to remember too, that's going to be distinct from other the other ones of these tabs here, are going to be things like filtering. So if I open up my landscape folder here, and let's say I filter for a rating of 5. So what this is doing is it's looking in a particular folder, and then it's looking within that folder for images with a rating of 5. So there's 2 levels underneath this sort of navigation, and it's going to remember that a rating of 5 is active. But when I tab away, that is not applied to then the catalog search for nature, or the catalog search for a label of blue, or the search window with the people and the particular view that we've assigned. So this is then sort of its new instance with new sort of subgroupings like filter or sort or view that are being applied that are unique to this particular tab. So Chuck asked a good question. Will the tabs persist if you exit ACDSee and then go back into it? No, every time you open up ACDSee, it's treated like a new instance, and therefore these are then these aren't remembered, they aren't maintained. One thing I will say though, if I go to the tools window and I go to the options section, I have the ability, Chuck, to under manage mode here, I have the ability for to remember my home folder here. Oh, it looks like remember from previous session. Ooh, let's try this in a moment here. I might be wrong about my own assessment here, but I can still tell you that when I go to home folder here, I can change this particular folder that is a default when I open up manage mode. So if I wanted my home folder to be this landscape folder here, I can search for it. So I think it's under pictures. Let's see here. Yeah, I could set it to landscape and click OK. And this would be my default home folder instead of the pictures folder that we saw earlier. But there is this remember from previous session icon. So maybe we'll give this a go right now and see if it will remember my landscape, my catalog, and my search window here. So I'm going to click that on. We're just going to give it a go. Click OK. And then let's close this window. Close, and we can cancel. That's not made it. Oops. Okay. So if I open this again, will it remember it from my previous session? Not this case. Oh, it remembered the filter rating, however, though. Oh, interesting. Okay, so it doesn't look like it remembers multiple tabs, but it remembers the particular rating that I had in this case. So the search qualities for the original tab. So somewhat, it doesn't open up and remember all of these tabs, but it does remember the landscape, and it does remember the filtering application that I had here. So sorry, Matthews, what did you mean? You had a conflicting choice? I see what he says. Okay. Let's try it. I don't think there's a conflict here, but we'll see. We'll just go to pictures. So right now I have a home, like the two sections or the settings here are the home folders. So this in this case, I by default it should just be the pictures folder, and then it says remember from previous session. So yeah, so these two I think are not in conflict with each other. Ideally, one of those things would be, well, okay, it's going to open up by default into the pictures folder, and then my thought was that this would remember other tabs in this case. It does look like it remembered the landscape folder and it remembered the filter rating that I had applied. So, but we can try this again. Let's see if it remembers this landscape and it doesn't open up the pictures folder now that we've changed it. So we'll open up one more time and see this happens. I think that if provided that the remember from previous session is active though, it should still open up under the landscape folder. Unless my understanding is incorrect. Here we go. Yeah, okay, good. Okay, so yes, my understanding is correct. So the folder is remembered. In this case, it does say that my home folder is pictures. However, with remember from previous session turned on, the first tab that you have active will be remembered. So if I was to unclick remember from previous session, when I open up ACDSee the next time, this folder will be my pictures folder by default. It just doesn't maintain the other search other folders or sorry other tabs that we have active here. I have more to say about those, so I should reopen them. Let's just go to my catalog window and let's open up a catalog rating of 5. We'll open up a label of red, and we'll just keep that people open as well. Yeah. So Norman, the answer to that is no. So right here, I have so like I said, in an active session, what I have is my search for people. Right there, my catalog window for a label of red, my catalog window for a rating of 5, and then my landscape folder with the filter active. The one thing that I also wanted to mention, so I have these active filters. I could have had active views in this case as well. One of the things that I also wanted to note is that it also remembers when I navigate from tab to tab, pardon me, specific zoom values in this case. That is maintained there. So, so I have the ability to open up these multiple tabs. From a sort of a quick perspective too, I can close these tabs by middle clicking on the tabs, but I can't close at any time. I must have at least one open tab, so it's not going to allow me to close this without another tab active here. I can navigate to my folders window here, and I can use my middle click within this section too to open up particular folders. So if I was to open up people here, it would pop up. I'm just middle clicking on this icon, and then let's say let's open up just a random frequency separation folder as well. So I have 3 folders that have opened by middle clicking in the same way that I can middle click use on the tabs themselves to remove them. I can middle click on the section there to open them. A middle click is on your mouse. Some mouses will almost all mouses nowadays will have a scroll wheel in the center or some form of middle button. So in the sense there's a left mouse click and a right mouse click, there's also a middle click. So yeah, just use your middle click to open that. There's very few mice these days that won't have a third button or at least a scroll wheel. So in this case, I'm actually taking my scroll wheel, I'm clicking down on my scroll wheel to open up that birds folder. So I have all these multiple open folders at the same time. You can middle click to close these folders, like I mentioned. We can change view settings and filter values. We can open up different folders predicated on searches or perhaps calendar entries. Let's see here. There's a calendar entry in this case. we can open up based on catalog functionality and the location of those images on our hard drive, the exact location in the folder case. So you have the ability to open up all these different images in these different ways and then tab them at the top of our preview window. The other thing is that we can create a new tab. So I can just create a new tab by control using the shortcut or the keyboard shortcut Control T. So there it is. And then when I click Control T, it will open up the default folder in this case, which is the pictures folder, which is what I changed in the options setting there. I can duplicate an active tab. So I believe this is Alt D. Yeah. So it'll copy an active, whatever active tab you're on. And then I should be able to also, in addition to middle clicking or using the close window here, I should be able to Control W an active tab to close it. So there's these different ways to interact with the actual tabs themselves by using the shortcuts. Sorry, thanks for that question, Bill. Tim asked, from the help notes, when ACDSee is closed, all tabs will close with it. However, upon restarting ACDSee, the program will restore the options from the tab that was active when it was closed last. So what Tim was pointing out is that whatever active tab you're on, when you open it, is going to be recalled in this case, and if provided that option is turned on in the option setting here, remember from previous setting. If it is not checked, it's just going to open up the default folder. Pat says, can you move documents from one tab to another? Yes, you can. I would just take 3 images or whatever, or however many images you want, and just copy and paste from one folder to another. Note that you're probably not going to be able to move images from a folder to a catalog, because a catalog is predicated on a certain search quality. But I can simply copy this mountain image and paste it here. Let's see if I can move up thumb strip. Yeah, so I could put that very quickly and easily from one to the other there. I don't think that there's going to be, let's see if there's a drag and drop functionality. I don't believe there's, oh, there is. Yeah, never mind. So you could do that too. So you could quite literally select all of the images in this folder. Oops. Let's exit out of this. And I could literally drag and drop into a separate folder, and it moves them there. By dragging and dropping, do I move these files permanently? Let's find out. Are they gone from this folder? Yes. So one thing to note, that if I'm dragging and dropping, I'm not copying the files, I'm actually moving them. So I'm moving them back in this case. But I could, like I said, just copy and paste these from one folder to the next. But that is handy because it means, again, I don't need to navigate to the particular folder, copy those particular files, and then move them to my target destination. I can sort of just tab between these two things and copy and paste as needed. So that's pretty handy. Now, again, like I said, that's only going to be folder specific. I'm not going to be able to paste into a particular catalog search because the search is predicated on a certain value. So unless it's not going to allow me to paste an image of with a rating of 5 into a catalog search that doesn't contain that value. Great question. Okay, let's see here. So we've talked about the folders themselves. We've talked, initially too, we talked about the sort of structure of ACDSee and sort of how we've set it up into a navigation window as well as I guess a quality application window or a cataloging window. And then we've talked about sort of what I call the preview window here and how the tabs actually interact with that window. We've talked about sort of opening up multiple tabs, verifying the quick view on the tab. So there's going to be this little tooltip that appears that tells us the quality of whatever I'm interacting with. I think the only thing that is not going to contain in this case, a tooltip are going to be search results. And that actually makes sense because there's so many different images in the search I don't know, to depict that is going to be a bit awkward. So rather than sort of display that in the tooltip, it's actually displayed in this case in the search window itself. It's the most recent active search. Tom asked, is there a permanent library that maintains all images in year, month, day, time order if all else fails? A permanent library that maintains all images in year, month, day, time order if all else fails. Well, that's sort of the purpose of the calendar window. Let's see here. Year view. So this is what this does is it depicts EXIF metadata predicated on capture date, I believe, or import date, depending on if the metadata is in the file. So if you take an image with a raw, take a raw image, the EXIF metadata will be fulfilled. Are the IPTC? Let's see, actually, let's just verify this. EXIF, yeah, okay. So EXIF in this case would be the camera details. What I'm referring to is actually the IPTC. So there's going to be an IPTC. It's going to tell me when the date was taken. Let's see here. Oh, maybe that is EXIF. Oh, no, it is date and time. Okay, sorry. I'm talking around a circle here. So the calendar window, I think, is what you're describing, Tom, predicated on either the import date into your onto your hard drive or the actual EXIF quality with the camera date taken. It's going to assign it here into a calendar window. So there's an entry in 2008, and then if I scroll up, there's an entry in 2013, and then there's entries based on particular years here. Now, note that when I click on a year of 2020, for example, let's change the view to thumbnails. The tabbed browser, let's see if it'll tell me. Yeah, the tab browser tells me this is all of the images taken in 2020. So if I scroll down, those images were taken in 2020 and they're represented in this folder here. So this is the way that you would view, and then we can use the tab browser to display that. For example, if I wanted to then see 2021, I would just open up a new tab here, and then I would click on 2021, and that would be all my images in the year 2020-21 respectively. Misty asked, does the drag and drop or cut and paste away work with the mobile sync folder, or does it have to be done within a catalog folder? Yeah, so mobile sync is a folder, so it should work just fine. Let's see here. Do I have an active one? Yeah, so here's my mobile sync folder. If I wanted to, so when I use my app on my phone, this is the location that those files end up when I use mobile sync. But it looks like I can copy and paste just fine, right? So I could move these images by dragging and dropping them onto a different folder, or I could copy and paste them just as I did any other folder. So if you used mobile sync to as a location where your files end up after you've synced your images from your phone, it looks like you can open up a new folder. So if I wanted to say I took a bunch of photos of clouds within that mobile sync, I could then copy and paste, let's say these cloud images into this folder. And if I refresh, there they are. So yeah, totally. Misty, yes, it looks like you can do just that. It works like any other folder in this case. So. Okay, so we talked about collections. We didn't talk about collections, but we did talk about calendar, catalog folders. We talked a little bit about default states. So, certain filter view, like a rating of 5, is not going to be held on this image versus a view, a film strip or whatever is not going to be visible on this one. One of the things I will say, though, is that when you open up a new folder, it's whatever or tab rather, whatever settings you had for this active tab, in this case the film strip view, you'll notice that when I opened up a new tab here, that is maintained. So whatever I had active in my previous tab is what's going to be sort of opened when I go to click that new tab button there. So in this case, if the view mode was set to, oops, if I go back to people mode and set it to thumbnails, I have that other mode closed. When I open up pictures, you'll see that the thumbnail mode is now applied and not the film strip mode. Okay. I think that covers pretty much everything that I wanted to talk about here. Is there any other questions in regards to the mode? Or sorry, the feature? That's a lot of content. Maybe a little bit longer than I anticipated to talk about it today. But the main takeaway, the absolute central main takeaway, is that this absolutely removes the process of having to re-navigate over and over and over again to particular folders, catalogs, even searches and calendar functions. And so this gives you the ability to, as we even discovered in this own workshop, quickly copy and paste items from one to the next. This gives you the ability to close and interact with specific folders quickly and easily. It even gives you the ability to, in this case, remember settings from active folders. It gives you the ability to hold and prioritize particular forms of view based on filter or even the view mode itself. I believe it will even remember things like zoom qualities when we go to open up different folders. So this is a hugely powerful tool and one that is going to impact pretty dramatically people's workflow in ACDSee. Admittedly, it might not be the most flashy tool like something like AI Super Resolution is, but I think from a practical everyday usage standpoint, you will use the tabbed browser far, far more often than you will use something like, even particular editing and development tools that so this is a really, really impactful change to the architecture of ACDSee and the way that we use this product. How long will a trial version of 2025 continue to work, assuming it is time limited? Yeah, that's a good question, Alan. It certainly is time limited. I think they give you a month. It's been a long time since I've thought about the trial period, but I believe it's about a month trial. It will say too, they'll give you a emails that will tell you when your trial will be ending. So there'll be, I think they typically send you an email on 5 days prior and then a day prior to the expiration of your trial period. So you'll get an email telling you, hey, your trial is about to expire. So if you like the software and you're interested in updating to the new software, you can do that. Obviously at your leisure, but they will give you an update. Thank you, Norman. Thank you, Alan. Yeah, 30 days is pretty reasonable, I'd say. Thank you, Tim. Okay, Marv's question. I wanted to get to that question. Although I probably have maybe answered this question to some degree, Marv, let's answer it in a more thorough way. So the workflow for ACDSee will always begin with folders. So let's give you the example where you've just installed ACDSee for the first time, you've never used it before. You will have no keywords in your images, right? So there will be nothing to catalog to. You will have no ratings, no labels, no keywords, no categories, etc. So the way that you begin the process of adding metadata, adding keywords, labels, categories, etc., is by using the folder structure. So we will do that. We've done that. We have navigated to folders, and now we will look at the assigning window, which is on the right-hand side here. And we'll open up the properties panel. And from it, within the properties panel, we have the ability to see within metadata, so IPTC values, EXIF values, and ACDSee metadata. This tells me, IPTC tells me legal qualities about a photo being taken. Most stock photography or your photos that have been taken by professionals will have these filled out. EXIF values will only be filled out provided that the image is either raw or that these values have been saved from a raw image. And then finally, ACDSee metadata. This is a quick window to showcase which keywords and captions and authors and notes, etc., have been applied to your images. Where you want to actually do the application process, so where we apply keywords and ratings and that sort of thing, that would be within the Organize tab here down at the bottom. So when I open this, it's going to give me the ability. It's rather hidden, which is it's a smaller button here, but this is what gives me the ability to set a rating. In this case, set a label to these images. So a rating of 4, a label of yellow, and it gives me the ability to add. So in this case, let's just give this a wildlife category. And if I go to the keywords window down at the bottom here, this also gives me the ability to add keywords from within this window. You can see that these 4 images in particular have a ton of keywords added to them. So what we're going to do is we'll select all, and we're going to not delete the keyword, but unassign the selected keywords. And then from here, what I'm going to do is I'll deselect and I'll just go to, let's say, nature as a keyword, outdoors, panorama, and maybe there's a mountain keyword. Let's see here. It doesn't look like I have one, but you can see that I've added those 3 keywords here. So with those 3 keywords added, when I go to the catalog window, right, and I open up a new tab and search for what was one of those keywords, panorama, those 4 images come up because they had the keyword of panorama added to them. So that would be how you would assign a keyword in ACDSee. And nicely, it uses the catalog function and enables me to navigate back to these images within the landscape folder. So you can see how these images are then distinct and different from their location within the landscape folder because they're aggregated based on common values. In this case, the common value of panorama as a keyword. Marv, does that answer your question? If you're still in the workshop, I'm not sure if you took off later, but hopefully that does answer your question. Good question. Thank you. Okay, thanks, James. Thank you, Laurent. Thank you, Tim. Alan, of course. I will have this on YouTube. Yeah, absolutely. Lots to cover. Misty, thank you. Not, thank you so much. Thank you, Norman. Does anyone else have any other questions before I close off today? Yeah. Sean, thank you so much. Yeah, what do we cover? Default states, multiple folders, the quick view, the tooltip path, collections calendar, middle clicking close, scroll maintenance and view maintenance. We talked about filters and view mode. We talked about the the shortcuts, and we also talked about the options panel as well. Yeah, we covered everything I wanted to cover today. Thank you, Marv. Thank you, Richard. Is there a way to zoom in where the mouse is sitting on the picture? Is there a way to zoom in where the mouse is sitting on the picture? Is there a way to zoom in where the mouse is sitting on the picture? You can zoom in on thumbnails, but there's an extent to which they can't be zoomed in anymore. That's a manage mode function. What else? If I view the film strip, no, it's not going to let me zoom. It's just a thumbnail in this case. Not quite sure what you mean, Greg. As always, thank you, Marv. You're so welcome. Richard, thank you. Claudio, thank you. Jay, thank you. Misty, thank you. Key, thank you so much. Off topic. Well, why does my Face ID tool persist? I can turn it off. I can turn it on, but not off. Face ID tool. We just added this in the activity manager, but if you go to the activity manager in manage mode, you can turn on AI face detection. So what this will do is so when you browse to a folder, AI face detection is naturally happening in the background. This gives you the ability to turn that off. That would mean that you would need to turn it on at a later date or jog by using the tools, I think. You would have to jog a face detection on a particular folder. So this gives you the ability to turn that off, that process that's idling in the background. Um, does that answer your question, Chuck? I'm not sure if it does. Um, but that is the face detection tool, and that is sort of it's a process that's idle as ACDC is running. Uh, Greg asked in edit mode, single picture. Oh, is there a way to zoom in where the mouse is sitting on the picture? In edit mode. Okay, so not obviously have anything to do with what we're talking about today, but can you zoom in on the mouse? Yeah, I think don't you just use this control scroll wheel? I'm not sure if that answers your question, but oh, I see what you're saying, like localized to a particular part. Oh, I see. So I want to scroll in over here, but it's scrolling in on the middle of my image. Hmm. Um, my immediate guess is I'm not sure. I think that might be something that I'd have to you'd want to check with the developers, but it doesn't look like it. It looks like it's center of the image is the point of zoom. Um, yeah, is there a way to zoom in? Hmm. Let's maybe check the tools really quickly here. Oh, yeah, I guess we'll navigate to options. Let's see if there's zoom functions here. General, maybe? No. My guess is no. Oh, size, delay, mode, develop mode. No. Unsure about that. I would that my guess is probably not, Greg. However, but I would think that this might be something that sorry, you've asked the developers whether or not. Seems like a feature that would be ideal for the software, at least an ability to turn it on or off. And the developers said no, probably. Yeah. No answer. Okay. Well, my answer is no. That is a great suggestion for a feature, just the ability to toggle that on or off, or to be able to zoom in on a particular location on your image. However, the way that my understanding that edit mode works, this might be something that sounds easy to execute in the software, but based on the way that they've developed the sort of artboard system in that edit mode, it might be a little bit more complicated than just a binary click in this part of the wherever the mouse is hovered and zoom in. But that's backend stuff that obviously only the developers will understand. Yeah, it's a good suggestion. I would definitely pose that as a feature because it seems useful. Um, Jay asked, I'm brand new to ACDC. Where can I find other tutorials? I just got 2024. Can UI get a free upgrade to? So when you purchase ACDC, um, Jay, you can do two things. You can purchase a subscription, in which case the subscription will allow you to update to the new software as soon as it's released. Alternatively, when you go to buy ACDC, you can buy. I think a there's a add-on in the store that allows you to gives you a free upgrade. So if I was to go to, let's see here, but the upgrade is in itself not free. Let's see here, buy. And I don't want just a lifetime subscription. Okay, so next time you buy ACDC, this feature, upgrade assurance, will give you the next year's software for like a third of its price. So this 1 year upgrade assurance for ACDC. So this gives you the major upgrades and basically allows you to update to 2026 upon its release. So there's two ways to do this. You either get a subscription, in which case it's automatically added, or that it, like I said, when you go to actually purchase the software, you can add this as an add-on, and it gives you the new software, the release in 2026, essentially for a third of its value. Those are the two methods to upgrade. there are no free upgrades with ACDSee unless you get that subscription model, in which case it's enclosed or folded into your model that you use, or the your payment plan. So if you're like, hey, I really like ACDSee and I'm interested in purchasing the next year, so when you go to purchase 2026, add that add-on, and then you'll get 2027, yeah, for a third of its value when it comes out. Okay, I think that covers everything that I wanted to talk about today. I'm going to close the workshop. I think I answered everybody's question that I could. Migrating away from Adobe CC, big learning curve. Yeah, I mean, whenever you're learning a new software, especially photo editing softwares, it's going to take like a couple months to figure out how to use it properly, especially shifting over your workflows to certain things. But ACDSee can do a lot of the things, and in many ways offers way better management functionality than something like Lightroom does. And then a lot of that editing capabilities in terms of sort of things that you would do like layered editing is very similar in ACDSee. So as a software, it does almost all of the things that as a photo editor, something like Photoshop does, but it also adds all of these management capabilities that that Lightroom doesn't offer whatsoever. So. Yeah, and then as Alan says, it takes several years and I'm still asking questions. And we do these workshops like for free, like once or twice a month. So if you're just interested in learning new tools and trips and tricks and tips, excuse me, just participate in the workshops. They're free. They're, like I said, they're anywhere between 30 minutes and an hour and a half, basically workshops. And they're super useful to learn the software. Myself and Rodrigo host them, and then Alec Watson, who's a professional photography, he also hosts workshops with an aim more directed at advanced intermediate photographers. And then both me and Rodrigo is a photographer and I'm a graphic designer, so we approach them from different perspectives and sort of use the softwares in different ways. So from there, you get a really robust, different perspectives on the software, and yeah, just people with different come at photo editing from very different walks of life. No, they're not saved to the website, Tom, but they are saved to YouTube. So have you been to our YouTube page? Let's see if I can just open it really quickly here. Oops. Yeah, so we have a YouTube page. It's literally ACDSee Photo Studio. And then from here, you can watch workshops. So if I go to videos, there's all the workshops are in purple. All our general tutorials are in orange. And then we have sort of major upgrades to the software and what's new videos in red there. So that sort of gives you a breakdown. Other products might be different coded. So we have Gemstone as a photo editor. That's a totally different product and it's color coded as blue. So this just gives you an idea like how to watch on our YouTube page here. Yeah, awesome. And you can find our YouTube page like on our website too. There's links to it everywhere. Okay, cool. That's it. Thanks so much, everybody. I'm going to close off for today. If you have any feedback or questions or anything like that, you could just send me a personal message over Connect. I'm there and I read those pretty regularly. So yeah, take care. Thanks so much for participating. I appreciate it. And I will see you next month. Oh, also one more thing before I close off. If there's something you want me as a sort of instructor to teach about ACDSee, please send me a message over Connect. I will cover your topic. I wish I received more people asking me to cover specific things because it's super useful for me to create workshops that cover things that people are curious about. Otherwise, I'm going to create workshops based on things that I think are interesting or unique or useful in ACDSee. But if you have particular questions and I have the ability to do those workshops, let me know. Okay, that's it. Take care, everybody. Have a great rest of your day, and I will see you next month.